Today's topic is ransomware in education. I'm speaking with James Mountain. He's the CISO for Palmar College in Devenport, Iowa. Mr. James, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Now, we're going to talk about spiking ransomware attacks against schools and how the pandemic is making this even more difficult. Give us a little background on this.
So, with the pandemic, everybody's working from home. And normally in education, you have teachers, you have the faculty, the employee, the staff, that they're usually there. They're on campus. The students are on campus. So, you're able to protect that perimeter. But now, everybody's home. You have schools that were like Palmer it's a chiropractic college. We have to teach people in person to adjust people. You can't do that online. So we've had to make the move to some online classes, stuff you could teach online, and faculty and staff, some of them working from home. Admissions, they don't need to see students, they can call them. IT working from home. So a lot of the college for a while was working from home, and we still had to protect all those assets. And, luckily, Palmer had a lot of laptops because part of our DR plan was keeping people with laptops. So if a meteorite hit or, some natural disaster, we never thought about a pandemic, but something where people couldn't come into school, they would need to work from home for a laptop. And we didn't have laptops for everybody, but we had it for a majority of the people that needed to work from home.
Now, were these endpoints already kind of set up to be secure? In other words, most people now are going home and saying, send your employees home and go ahead and get on your Windows NT computer that grandma gave you for college graduation. And it's never had any security on it at all. And they're trying to run a business through that. And that's problematic. But your laptops, I'm assuming, had some kind of basic IT protection set up.
Yeah, we had all Windows XP. No, we had the latest and greatest. We had Windows 10 updated to probably 1909 or 2004 or whatever version it was on. Our staff really keeps them up to date. They had antivirus, they had secure VPN, and they also had, for some of our other systems that are cloud hosted, we have multi-factor is on every student, every employee, everybody at Palmer that has an Active Directory account has multi-factor. We have conditional access set up for some of the, like the EMR systems for the radiology, for anything that contains any medical information. You have to have a Palmer domain device. You have to be within a certain area. You can't be across the ocean. You can't be anywhere that we wouldn't think that you would be.
So now we're going to transform all this good security we have to a zero trust, kind of a do-it-yourself zero trust platform. What are the must-have practices and guidelines for companies when they're going from layers and layers of defense into a zero trust model?
Well, zero trust for me is still a layer of defense with least privilege. But what we're doing is we're taking, when people think of layers of defense, you're thinking of protecting like the perimeter again. But now you have people who want to access their data from anywhere in the world, and they need to get to it. And guidelines that I would put up is you need to make it easy for the end user. The business needs to make money. And what I've been told from Palmer many times is that Palmer College is the trusted leader in chiropractic education. We are not the trusted leader in IT security. So they said, we can spend millions of dollars on IT security and make this the most secure place you'd ever want to work, but we wouldn't be able to pay anybody else. So you have to find ways to make it work with the budget you have and the policies you set up, and you need to make it so that it's effective for the business.
So this is kind of getting back to the idea, it's a do-it-yourself zero trust idea in a way.
It can be. Looking back at what we did, we had firewalls, next gen firewalls, really nice ones. And we had a flat network because the people that were here at the time, that's what they knew. So we changed it to segmentation, just through VLANs, opening up ports, and we would do it by MAC addresses, and some computers can talk to this computer. And we made it as dynamic as we could because we had a plan for future. We didn't want to say this IP can talk to this IP over this port, because you would have thousands and thousands of policies. But if but that's what we knew. I know group policy, I know firewalls. That's what I would do, because that's. But if you're looking for like micro segmentation, which is, I would think it would be better and more secure, we would have to reach out to a vendor. At the time when we did this 7, 8 years ago, it was complicated, and it was very expensive. Now, since we've done all this work and we've spent all this money going one way, we're not at a point to change it to microsegmentation for a little bit more security in my mind. But if you're starting off at the flat network, I would go with the microsegmentation and find a good VAR or a good vendor you can work with. Check references, and because there's no reason to reinvent the wheel when you have something that can help you out like that.
Now, if you're going to do something over, what would you consider changing? I mean, budgets always drive everything, don't they? No matter what anybody says, it's got to be with money. Anything you might do a little different. And if you're going to add some new components, what would that be?
I would have started with MFA a lot sooner. Like the minute I showed up, I would have tried to get that implemented as soon as I can, because when you just start moving your workloads to the cloud and people log in with username and the passwords, I mean, you can make it's not good. And everybody's pushing MFA right now, and it's because it works. So I would have done that much sooner. Am I adding stuff? We are looking at changing a vendor for like password vaults that can do. We're looking at getting rid of our VPN for solutions that can replace our VPN. VPNs are bad as well. So looking at maybe changing it, getting something that can do a VPN like, but not a old school VPN server, and maybe rotating passwords. I am up for anything that is a product that can replace a couple products that's better and cheaper. There's a product I use now. I love it. Everyone here loves the product, but another vendor called me and said, I can do what that vendor does much better and at a better price. And so far from demoing that product, they're a lot better. Now we're just gonna look at the price, and I will switch. I am, if we do Microsoft or Google or AWS, I have no problem switching if somebody's better and they're a lower price for us.
Now, you mentioned having all the laptops out in the field. Do you have some specific concerns now for security hygiene as these devices eventually, we hope, will migrate back into your environment, in your network, on your network? Do we have to do anything differently? Think about that. Could they bring things with them unwillingly that, because they're at home working and they decide to go to Netflix and download stuff, and now they have some of their problem that you're going to bring back into your network when they come back to the college?
No, I'm not concerned about it. We have controls in place for the laptops, and they could never touch our network again. They will automatically get patched. They will report in through cloud and tell us what's wrong, what's going on, if the AV goes off, if the firewall goes off, if there's something. And if there is a problem, we can always disable those computers remotely. We can wipe a computer remotely if we know that it's, my laptop's been stolen. Okay, and we can get rid of it. And all your files are always backed up. So your laptop gets stolen, hey, we can ship you out a brand new laptop with all your files back on it and wipe the old device.
So if we can prevent 90% of ransomware, we still get that 10% floating out there. We talked about this before the show a little bit. Have you heard about a ransomware kill switch idea? And what's your take on that? Would that help you as administrators say, let me push one button and kill the population of this ransomware throughout my entire network at one time?
It would be even better if I didn't have to push a button, because if a ransomware hits at 9 o'clock at night, I'm not there to push that button. But an automatic kill switch, definitely something that can go out and see that files are being encrypted and just shut everything down, shut that computer down, shut whatever computers that it's causing that to happen. Yeah, that is because your best. I mean, ransomware comes through emails, which have end users. So if the email gets through, and man, these guys with these emails they send out, they are good. They, I mean, some of them are amazing, and they're going to get through. And all you need is one user to click that and start infecting their machine and infect others. And then, yeah, something that can just shut that machine down. And I've seen it work before. And I didn't know what was happening. User said, I can't get anywhere. And I went to a computer and I'm like, man, everything's blocked. You really can't get anywhere. And then I looked down, there's a little flashing on her tray, and oh yeah, okay, yeah, let's figure this out. Because you see it in the demo 4 years ago, and then it actually comes and you're like, I've never seen that before. Because you're not expecting to see ransomware. I've seen it a couple times, and the things that we've used to have the ransomware kill switch, oh, they're amazing.
Now, let's talk about converting legacy networks. Let's say somebody's not up to speed, like Palmar College. Uh, what's your advice, to kind of bring things up to speed, just to a minimum? I'm amazed when I interview people at Black Hat. They have all this technology out there, but the salespeople say, I can't sell it, right? It's a no-brainer. But it's always driven by budget. It's driven by knowledge. People say, I don't understand it, so I can't buy the technology. But, in this day and age, if you're not trying to improve your networks, I think you're just negligent, frankly.
That is true. Um, Legacy networks, they really, so you'd have to do some comparisons. You'd have to look at what Palmer did, the firewalls, and the time it took, and the resources, or working with doing the same setup we did, but maybe having a VAR come in or having the vendor do it for you. Or then you look at microsegmentation or zero trust models or IAM solutions or whatever else is out there, and see if you can get kind of the same for same. And some of it does, you go, okay, it's going to cost us $200,000 to do it this way, and we'll be 70% secure. Or we pay 225,000, 250,000, and we're 95% secure. And those are things that, as a CISO, we present to people who have the wallet, and that protects us. Because if I go, well, 75%, that's what you want to pay, hey, I'm fine with that. And then if something happens and you go, well, yes, that was covered under the 75%, my bad. Oh, that was covered under the 25% that you didn't want, that's on you. And that protects me. Whereas if I had the 95% one, I could have protected you. So it's all about what you present. And the business still has to make money. And it's nothing personal against IT security professionals. If the business says, we're fine with the 200,000, we don't want to spend the extra 50 for, 30 more percent. Okay, that's fine. It just as long as they've been made aware. And that's why when the salespeople come to us, we have to be able to sell it. We have to be able to do going from IT speak to business. And it's really nice if you can get a vendor to help you with that, because the vendor should be able to tell you how to do IT speak to business so you can relay that to them. They should be a partner in helping you sell whatever product you want to your business.
James, 2020 was a big enough problem. 2021, pandemic, ransomware in education, even a bigger challenge. What do you have in your toolkit you would consider your best device for fighting ransomware?
So best device for fighting ransomware, it would be automation. In the past, you'd have something would come in, and a lot of it was manual, looking it over, making sure it was, or someone just sent an email, or there's an alert or a phone call, and you're having to run to the person's desk and unplug them, or go on the switch, and it was chaotic. And that's from other places. Like every place that I've worked, if anything ever happened, is always get up and run to their desk. But now they're at home. How am I supposed to get in my car and get Google Maps out and try to find out where they live? So anything that can do automation, EDR products, or whitelisting only. There's a lot of new, I don't know if they're called AV anymore. It's just they're products that can come out and say you can only use these applications. You can only use Word and Excel and whatever else your company deems to be worthy. If you're trying to use a music app, nope, you can't use it. If you're trying to use something else that doesn't have the correct hash symbol, it doesn't allow it. So whitelisting is huge. But on the flip side of that, that's the security side of me is let's do all whitelisting. Let's get as much automation as we can. But the business side says, well, if we add new programs or we change something and, Jim Mountain's not there to approve it, can other people prove it? So, you know, the toolkit that I like is finding something that's a manual process and turning it automated. And if there's a vendor out there that has a product that can come in and solve my needs, I'm great. Going to these IT conferences, talking to the vendors, seeing what they do, going, yeah, I do that manually now. You can do that automated. Let's talk.
James Mountain, he's the CISO for Palmar College, Devenport, Iowa. Mr. James, thanks for coming on the show. Always a pleasure. Very, very interesting insights. And I like your can-do, get-it-done attitude. I think that's so important in the IT world nowadays.
This is a fun job.
Thanks for coming on, Eric.